Hello, everyone. This is Renee from Holistic Veterans Wellness. I'm the creatress, and I've been having this count here for a couple of years now. And I'm really passionate about advocating veterans in the mind, body, and spirit business. I love it. And I really have loved the journey of connecting with veterans. So I have Amy Schuler on here, and we were talking about before we went recorded. I interviewed Amy, I don't know, I was still married. That's a while ago. um, but when I was looking at it and wanting to kind of like bring some of those videos to the surface, I wanted to kind of catch up on where she's at and get a better kind of continue the journey of the conversation. So, Amy, you're a former MP.
Oh, Lord, I wish that was actually an option, but no, I was a 92 Fox Fueler.
Yes. Yes. Hey,
Yes,
we needed fuelers. You ain't going anywhere without a fueler.
that's the truth. That's the truth. So what's interesting though is I never actually did my job. I learned a lot of it and our unit did it, but when we deployed, we did convoy security. So I was the driver of
Okay.
the trucks.
It, and those listening, how many of you all have that same story? I didn't do my job.
Yeah.
I did it even as a warrant officer. Hey,
Well, yeah. I mean, that's good though.
I figured it out. I'm like, okay, no problem. So I would like just to kind of like rehash where we were at. I know you got out of the military and you've been on this healing journey. And what I was talking about before we went recorded, what really fascinated about connecting with you is you approach the healing journey, going from the physical all the way down to the quantum part of the body. Like I was telling you earlier, it's so easy to work on the muscles and come good, I'm doing good, but the energy, the quantum level, the chakras, the meridians, and the memory that is attached in that energetic part of it. So I thought I was really excited when I first met you, knowing that you are on this journey at the multiple layers of healing.
Yeah, well, it started in the physical. I highly recommend that you rewatch the first video or watch it for the first time. Don't delete it. I learned, so my journey has changed a lot, but let me tell you where it started was with the physical. I was super, super deep in depression. um, when I came home from Afghanistan, we were trying to figure out the who's and what's and what is happening inside my body. And I was seeing mental health. I was seeing my regular doctor because I was in a lot of pain, like a lot of pain. And we did all the tests and we found that I have a tear in my hip, in my labrum, which was causing a lot of the pain. But mentally, I was just really kind of destroyed. And really losing faith in a lot of everything people, my unit, my command. I felt like they kind of threw me under the bus. And so I did what any soldier would do. And I threw him right back under and got sent to WTU because I wasn't good. I wasn't good. Um, and I transitioned out. I was medically discharged for all of the fun things. PTSD was the top one. Um, and it comes with its whole slew of all the fun migraines, anxiety, depression. And hold one moment. Yes, sir. Uh, the bag of cookies should be in the fridge. If not, Joe took it and I'll have to make Perry more cookies. Sorry, honey.
No, I'm just laughing because I was telling you earlier, I am all about authenticity, and I'm not going to delete the original video because I'm about authenticity, real life scenarios, about cookies. So
I made white chocolate chip macadamia nut cookies and they have oatmeal in them. Well, we ate most of them yesterday. I know. I only had two of them too. I made 3 dozen cookies. I sent 13 with a friend of Joe's, and then his other friends were here. There were like 5 people here. They were just devoured within minutes. And I set away 4 of them for Logan's boss because I sent them for a Christmas party, and he loved them like a whole stack of them. So I forgot
That's
to tell Joe that he
that's
couldn't
what I
have
love
that.
about you. That's what I love about you because you're so authentic. This is like really who you are in your life and all that, and I love it.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. I cannot lock the door because I'm on a call right now. So, yep, grab your key. Thank you. Have a good day, honey. I love you.
Bye.
He's cute. This is my oldest. His name's Logan. He's 23. He's the old man, but he's autistic. All of my children actually live with me. Less Heaven, our daughter. She just recently moved out. She's doing the adult on her own. But you know what? I love it. I love having them here. It's a blessing because all of this, that madness that's created when you come home like that missing piece, it's really, really hard. You go from that amazing strength of your unit and your team, and when you're deployed, or I mean, even when you're home, you feel that camaraderie and that friendship. And when you get out of the military, it dwindles. And then you tie that to that losing that faith in humanity, in people. I was so angry, and I just could not figure out why I was so angry. And I tried all the things, therapy, so many medications. It was such a nightmare. And I got all the side effects. Weight gain was the top side effect for most all of them, and I got that. And I weighed almost 190 pounds. I'm 5'4". That's just too much, and I was not healthy. So it was tapping into those lessons from the military, though. All right, man, I hate push-ups and I hate sit-ups. So let's go. Come on, I got this little peekapoo poodle. I'll leash him up and we go run around the neighborhood. And that's really how that all started, and opened the door to Reiki. And that actually came a lot of years later because, again, I was in a really bad place. And here in Nevada, actually, I don't really like it here. And I was struggling with my family. I was struggling to find a therapist in the area that I connected to. I was struggling to get into the VA to get my prescriptions refilled. So I'm like, cold turkey, quit all of them. I'm like, you can't, this is awful. And at the same time, I'm like, I got to get out of here. I'm telling my husband that we got to get out of here. Like, the area's bad, the schools are bad, like everything here is just bad, and it just feels bad. And so he's like, well, we'll find something. Circle the whole United States on Zillow, and we ended up in northern Maine, and that was the most. I want to say amazing experience, but that just doesn't even bring it to do it justice. Like, it brings me to tears, the amount of healing that I found in nature and in the people restored my faith in humanity. Like, I don't even know. Like, I grew up in Utah. Like, I know snow. No, you don't. And we moved there in January. And about 10 days after we closed on our house, they got the biggest storm they had ever had. I mean, like, sleet and ice and snow. And I'm all, I can't do this with a damn shovel. Shit, no. I call my realtor because I don't know anybody. I call my realtor. No, my neighbor, God love him, come down on his plow and dug me out. I love him. They did that multiple times, dug me out of the snow. But then it got really warm and everything started melting, and I had like a dam built up on my roof, so it was leaking in my house. I called my realtor. She made one phone call. This guy comes over. I don't even know who this guy was. I don't remember his name, but I will always remember this experience. He takes a look. He's all, okay, I gotta just run up to my house real quick. I'm gonna grab my sledgehammer and my ladder, and we're gonna fix this. And he did. And we did not discuss money. We did not discuss anything. He just went and did and fixed it. And I gave him like $40. That's all the cash that I had. I'm like, I have to give you something. Like, you can't just do this for free. Because in my mind, like, that give to give, I had not really experienced that. Any type of love always came with strings, and friendship and helping, that is the most beautiful form of love. And doing it with no question, no expectation of anything in return was what really restored my faith in humanity. And then I got a lot deeper into fitness and partnered with a company and found an amazing community, and all of this just leading up to Reiki, because it's helping me to people, because I really struggled connecting or even communicating with people. Along with PTSD, I got traumatic brain injury. And I actually filed the paperwork with the PACT Act and had that reevaluated. And they jumped me from 10% to 100%. Like it has progressed that much that like the functionality of my life is very difficult. It's very difficult, but we all do it with grace. And that's why I love having my family here, because even through all of the anger and the frustration and processing the fact that I can't find my words, and you giving me the word is not the right word and it's making me more angry, like that really helped us as a family grow and help to see other people in a different way and give them a little bit more grace when they're struggling, because you have such a emotional connection to someone that has struggled with that, and you yourself deal with the fallout of it. So fast forward a couple years and I'm doing a lot better and I'm peopling a lot better and sharing my journey a lot better online and the things that I had been through with the military and the growth. And I found this amazing book called A Course in Miracles. This book helped me see everything differently, including myself. But it also helped me to set aside that fear that triggers the anger when you're around people that you don't know. It helps you to see them as helpers, and all people are helpers. They're here to teach us something, we're here to learn something, or we're vice versa. But either way, each person has a purpose. And this book helped me see that. I've been through this book 100 times, and I'll go through it 100 million more times, because it always comes up. It always has reference to how to just view it a little bit differently from a place of love instead of fear. So then Reiki enters the from the left, stage left, whatever, because it's all just a show. It's driving me crazy. Anywho, my sister is going through a Reiki master course, and she's learning all these things, and she's healing, and she's growing. And she shared with me her teacher half dozen times. But I'm like, oh, I need to look that up. And then it just, locked away to the beyond in my brain. Until one day I was there at her house. My son, both my boys and my son's girlfriend, we traveled from Maine back to Utah. My sister had twins. It was a beautiful blessing in our family. She had been trying for years and years and years, lots of loss, lots of heartache. And then, oh, you're pregnant. And then, oh my gosh, there's two of them. And no fertility treatments, no anything. This is just a beautiful, natural gift from above. And our whole family was seriously rejoicing about this, because it was a lot of pain to get to this amazing experience. So we drove across the country to meet these two little beautiful souls. And I was standing in my sister's kitchen, and we were making dinner, and she was looking for something, and she's hunting all over her whole kitchen for this utensil for dinner, and she's finding all these random things, and she's like, oh, that is not where you go. Grandpa must have emptied the dishwasher, and I'm just gonna be grateful that I didn't have to do it. And I literally fell into the counter. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I mean, it's fine that it's in the wrong spot. I didn't have to do it, and it's okay. I have to look a little bit more. But I'm sitting here in my brain processing all of these times I've snapped at my kids because I can't find the thing, because they put it where they think it goes, since, and I'm like, why can't you just ask me why is this frustrating me? But this grateful that she didn't have to do it, really hit me in my heart. And I'm like, I want that. I want that. And we went home, and it was probably even still like a month or so after that. And I'm like, Melissa, who is the teacher? Who is that Reiki lady? What is this? And she sends me the link to her teacher, and I fell in love. Like, I just couldn't get enough. Like, I would sit there. I did online learning, and I would sit there and just listen and read and absorb, and like, oh, where has this been my whole life? And then take those, like, the principles of Reiki for all of today. I will only love, like I want to do that. I want to do that. I'll be grateful for the little things. Like, yes, please, I will give myself some grace. Okay, how about that? Be true. Be true to yourself and everyone else. And and above all that, like, be thankful about the little things. Be kind to your neighbor. Like, that's all Reiki is teaching you. And pairing that with A Course in Miracles, like, I was just able to see it so much differently. And because I was open to receiving this love that I'm learning about, like this deep connective love I'm learning about, all these people kind of presented themselves. Amazing people that I have created deep, deep relationships with, that, like, they're my people. If I ever need anything, I know that they are there for me to help me, if that's just talk it through, or listen to me rage about, I don't understand what's happening, kind of situation. So I did a lot of healing, and I found a lot of growth in Maine. And then COVID happens. But right before that, right before it gets kind of, crazy, and we're all in the inn more, my husband's like, should sell the house and buy an RV. What? He's like, yeah, we should move back to Las Vegas. The kids want to go back to Las Vegas. So Logan was graduated from high school. COVID hit really hard up there in northern Maine, and Joe was a really good student, and then he was just not. The online learning just did not click in his brain, and I pulled him out of school. I also was really struggling with a lot of paranoia, like, that's a lot of control, and I don't want you to lock my kid in, and then I can't have my kid. And then I'm like, when it was time to go back, I'm like, I don't really think that I'm comfortable with this. And Joe was like, I don't think that I am either. And so I pulled him from school. And if he gets his GED, he gets his GED. Like, that's his choice now. He's an adult, much older. We've all had a lot of learning lessons in this move back to Las Vegas. We all find ourselves in a really interesting space of, I don't want to say regret, but it's probably regret of, I kind of wish we hadn't have done that. But we also live in this place of everything for a reason. Maine served what we needed, and what we needed was to come back here and learn some other lessons, because we're always learning, we're always growing. So I'm back here where my family is. Like, this is where I grew up. I used to spend Thanksgivings in Las Vegas with my mom's parents. The whole family would be there, like it was a whole thing. Well, it's not like that anymore. My family is very broken, because we all find ourselves in our own place of healing. And as you're on this journey, you begin to see the things that don't jive right, if that makes sense. Like, A Course in Miracles calls it an unhealed healer, where they're speaking, they're saying the things, they're doing the things, but behind closed doors, it's a completely and totally different picture, where they're not actually doing the work. They're not really taking that deep dive into yourself to figure out where it actually comes from. This kind of circles back to what you were talking about before, how it's not just that physical. The physical opens the door for you to, I guess, mentally feel like you're strong enough to do that deep work to find out, where does this all come from? Like, why am I so afraid of all of these things? And why do I choose to just shut myself in instead of doing the work? Why am I so judgmental? Why am I so angry? Like, all of those things. Because at the bottom of it, there is an imbalance within your body, energetically, maybe even hormonally. Okay. Everything that we put in our body causes our vibration, energetic vibration, to either grow or become weaker. So, shit, I lost where I was going. It's all tied. It's all tied together. And oh, right, to find where it's all. See, this is traumatic brain injury for you. I'll lose it, but then it's good brain. I found it again. Where it's all rooted. Where does it all come from? And when you're willing to take that look and really learn about forgiveness. Okay. I'll give you an example of this, what I mean, because I think people get forgiveness a little twisted. And we get it twisted because we're angry. Okay. And we're afraid of who are we if I'm not angry? Who am I if I really truly let this go? My son's girlfriend, she's such a beautiful, beautiful soul. She's so young, and it just breaks my heart that these young people are dealing with such a crazy existence right now. But then I think, Amy, like, you also, let's not forget that you have 20 years of crazy before you got to right here. She struggles a lot with her relationship with her dad. Okay. She didn't grow up with her dad, but her dad had this whole other family. So she has a lot of pain about that loss, and has never really grieved that. Has never really realized that, man, I probably can grieve this loss of this relationship that I had with him. But what she is just angry. And when we're angry, we aren't open to the idea that this could become better. This situation could be better, because as we heal and work on ourselves and do that deep dive, finding the root of why we're so hurt, it opens the door for everyone else around us to do the same thing. And if she heals, he heals. They're connected. We're all connected, but those that we're genetically connected to, it's even more connected. And when those, call them cords, those energetic cords between all of us, when they're damaged by lies and, trauma and just pain, it's difficult to see that maybe there's this little teeny tiny speck of light in there that can grow and push out that pain and heal those spots, so that becomes that love, that love that Reiki teaches about, that unconditional, no strings, just beautiful, beautiful love. So that's a little of how we got to where we are right now. But let me tell you, like, where I am, because in that first video, I was heavy into the fitness and coaching and helping others in that manner. And with Reiki, I was teaching. I had people come over to my home all the time for Reiki sessions. I was doing a lot of distance Reiki. Like, I was planning an event with my sister, like all of these things. It was just kind of like, to me, all of my dreams were coming into reality. All of these things that I was working to manifest, like all of this peace and everything. And then we moved, and it felt like everything flipped upside down, because I don't, there's no trees here. There's no trees here. I don't even have grass. I have weeds in my backyard that my new little, oh, I don't know where he went. My new little puppy eats them. So that's why they're still there. But like, it's just all dirt. And I felt very disconnected, very disconnected. And then tie that in, my family is all here and we're all broken. And I'm like kind of centrally located between everything. Okay. When it comes to people out of state coming to visit my family, like, you have to go by me to get there. And no one ever stopped. No one ever comes in. I learn after the fact that they've even been here. And I was really struggling with the hurt that that brought. And so I really, got a little more into my own personal sessions with Reiki about, why am I feeling this way? And why does it even matter? And I'm constantly being reminded to just listen. Just listen. Because the things that go on in everyone's lives really have nothing to do with you. And I want to say we unintentionally take it personally. And so I had to step back. I don't want to say I had to step back. I chose to step back from teaching and to really focus more on myself and moving myself forward, because here I am in Las Vegas, a place that really, really triggers PTSD for me. And it was just really hard. Getting into the VA is very difficult here. And I went from that flow just this, and I'm like, I can't. It was really tearing me up. So my husband found a job in Maine and we moved back there in the winter. And then we spent the winter there. And then we came back here. And we've just kind of been in this flow for us together as a couple, back and forth. And then that kind of becomes a little too much. Along with PTSD, I also have fibromyalgia. And I had some blood work done, and all of my everything is just wonked. Like, my lab work is all out of whack. Like, my white blood cells are really low. I'm anemic. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on with my body? Well, what's happening is, Amy, you're running away. You're running away back and forth from what you were told to just listen. To just listen. And so now we're here, and that's what I'm doing. I'm listening to myself, to my own needs, and to my own things that bring passion into my life. Reiki is absolutely one of them, and fitness is also another one. And I think that they go hand in hand. You really need to have a good, strong physical body, because when you are moving this energy of trauma and releasing that pain, you have a visceral experience. It's got to come out. Poop, puke, vomit, pain, headaches, all those things, tears. And in that time when you're reliving and sharing and moving through it, you're crunched like this, like you might as well have ran a marathon. And that's what happened to my son's girlfriend. We worked on that the other night and moved all of that pain. And I hope I helped her to see that there is hope when we heal the pains of ourselves and our own traumas and our own behaviors that we do to ourselves to sabotage ourselves and to ease the pain. When we work on those things, it hurts. This is why people don't do it, because it hurts. They experience it one time. You go see a Reiki master or a Reiki practitioner, and you lay on her table, and she gets up there and she does he does what they do, and each one is different. Some are silent, and it's almost like they just put you in such a space of relaxation that your mind doesn't get to create that block in your body that's blocking all this energy, and it's moving, and you're probably twitching, and you're probably breathing and all these things, and the next day you're like, oh my God, I got hit by a truck, and you're like, I'm never doing that again. And when I say never, I hear my dad's voice in my head. I call him Papa Meow, and he says, never say never, Aim. Never say never. So that's some wisdom for you. Log that away. That's why people don't do it. But those that do, they reap the biggest reward, because when you help yourself, you help everyone else, and it is with no strings attached. It's unintentional. It's intentional because that's what we do as humans, but it's unintentional because you have no control. When you heal, you will heal someone else around you. Well, Mia woke up the next day and she's like, you were right. I am so sore today. I know, drink water and flush that out, girl. Then you got the army in your head. Drink water. You didn't say beat the heat, drill sergeant. I don't know. But so I really took a step back, and I really started to listen. And what I heard with a lot of things didn't jive with me anymore. So I don't actively seek people out for coaching. I don't actively seek people out for Reiki, which I never really did anyway. But how do I say this without it? I'm just going to say it. Like, I'm more likely to direct you to someone local than to take you on as a client myself. And the reason why that is because I'm kind of in that unhealed healer state right now, which is also part of the healing and growth. You tend to take a step back and you are reflecting, is this working? Where are we going with this? And what exactly is it that we are wanting to achieve? I found myself taking other people's journey very personal. And when they didn't put in the same amount of effort as I did, I took that very personal, because how could you not? What are you doing? Like, I don't understand. And that's me, myself, laying an expectation on others that they're really not even aware of. And that's me being that unhealed healer and needing to still do some fine tuning within myself of what it means to actually truly guide someone through the most profound experience of your life. And also realizing that it takes as long as it takes, and I don't get to say how long it takes. And that's a lesson from A Course in Miracles as a teacher. You don't get to say. And it hurts. It hurts, and it can be painful. And all I really can do is just send those people love that have chosen not to do the work within themselves. That's that behind closed doors. This is what I'm actually doing. This is how I actually behave. Or I choose to self-soothe with things that sabotage our own healing and our own growth as a person. You said a beautiful thing earlier, is that we only get this one time, this one little bit of human time in abundance of time. And you know, maybe you're one of those that believe that we get to come back a bunch of times, but even then it's such a short amount of time to shove so much learning and so much healing and so much growth, so that those that are still here continue on that. And then maybe next time you come back, it is a much more beautiful place where there isn't so much pain, because right now there is a lot of pain, as we all know. And those are, it's just all fear. And once you realize, I'm going to hit you with another one from A Course in Miracles. It teaches that there is no room for fear when love fills our heart. So when we're able to actually truly look at a stranger and see them as a friend, even if they're not, and this will lead me into another story, we can still see that and see that love that we share together with humanity, and have that compassion for the situation that they're in. What month are we in? This might have been at the end of last year, but it could have been earlier this year. Time's funny in my brain sometimes. But anyway, I my husband is away for work, so it's just me and the adults here at the house. And I went and took a walk down to the grocery store, which isn't very far from here. And I was coming back and at the stop sign, and I don't wear earbuds. Okay. I grew up in the country. I'm working on my kindness. Okay. I'm working on my kindness. And I hear someone say, hey, and I like, what? I didn't say what, but I looked around, and then I hear it again and I'm all, what? And then here he comes zipping on his skateboard. Where's the cameras? Where's the police? And I'm like, I did not hear that correctly. I'm like, what did you say? He kicked up his skateboard and cocked it back to come and hit me with that. I backed up and I'm like, whoa, scared me to death, because here I am working on all of these triggers for PTSD. They're all helpers. People are kind. Everyone's a helper. And here I am face to face with really my worst fear as a veteran. Your worst fear as a veteran. We all went through that training. Some of us got more training. Some of us have continued on our training and are probably literal lethal weapons. Okay. And when you're confronted with physical attack, it's like, okay, and you flip soldier mode, and we could hurt someone. And I'm afraid of that, because Reiki teaches us to be kind and to love everyone. So I'm in this like space of resistance, okay? Because I know, and then I'm like, what would have happened? Okay. And then I'm forward thinking, and I'm even more afraid and not leaving my house even more, because I'm like, I don't want to go out on my own. And then I like, okay, we take a step back, and it's going to kill you. And you're going to be like, I'm not progressing, but I promise you, you are. You just have to listen. So deconstructing the religion I was raised in, and I'm learning a lot of things that I didn't know, and realizing a lot of things that I didn't know. And I don't want to say it was a cult, but I'm pretty certain I grew up in a cult. Okay. And that's a lot. And then you tie in this purity culture that religion teaches, and don't show off your shoulders, and you're a woman, and all this crazy stuff going on right now. And when you live in a city, I mean, people catcall you, people whistle at you, people cause accidents staring at you. And that's something that you have to take on, and it's unnerving. And when you struggle with PTSD and peopling, and you don't want any attention at all, don't even look at me, like, you tend to just shut yourself in. And that's not the answer. Okay. That's not the answer. But if you listen, the answer will present itself. And my answer presented itself in a 4-week-old pit bull. I'm not even kidding you. We had a beautiful, sweet little cat that passed away at the end of December. And a couple weeks later, my neighbor right here hit me up with a message. Hey, do you want a travel companion? I swear I thought she was talking about, let's go on a road trip. No, it was this picture of this cutest little old man, blue-eyed beauty. And I'm, oh my God. Like, if you bring that dog over here, I'm going to keep it. I knew it. She's like, I'm just going to bring him over so you can meet him. Yep. That was it. I was done. And he's going to be my next tool to work in conjunction with everything else that I do. I'm still working that body. This sucker turns 5 months old tomorrow, and he already weighs 55 pounds. Okay. So I have to be able to move him around. And I also want to be able to go for a walk in my neighborhood. I just did that yesterday. We moved here in 2021. Okay. I just walked on the street opposite, like on the other side of these houses that I face, for the first time yesterday. Okay. It feels like a step back. It really, really, truly feels like a step back. But I promise you, it is not even these little teeny tiny wins that I have. Like, they're setting me and everyone that comes in contact with me, because as I heal, everyone else heals. I firmly believe that. setting us all up for success because I got this guy, okay? I got this. He's a pit bull. He's a pit bull. Okay. I can't treat him like my little peekapoo who, you know, what is he going to do? He's so tiny. You just pick him up like this. No, this guy's a brute. So I had to sign him up for training. And what happened? Well, Facebook gave me this amazing new business that just opened up the street. Okay. And it's veteran owned and operated. Telling you, just listen, just listen, just listen. And they've been doing this for a while. Okay. The main guy trained the dogs in the Army and trains all the police animals in California, Nevada, and Utah. And his co-owner, I guess is what he is now, has been training with him for 7 years, and he's an ex-Marine. And so I send him an email and I'm thinking that he'll respond in email. Nope, he gets me on the phone. And this is what it is, and this is how much it costs, and these are the things that we're going to do, as he's explaining like the end of training. Because I signed, my dog's name is Sarge. His official title is Sergeant Major Schuler. He's adorable. Anyway, I signed him up for service animal training. Okay. Because I can't be procrastinating going to the grocery store because I personally am afraid of every person and like as I work to heal myself back into that, because the city life and the country life are very, very different, very different. And when we moved, I mean, of course, I found healing in Maine. I removed myself from the city that were all of the triggers. So, of course, the universe is going to set it up so that I am coming back to, are you serious about your healing? Are you sure that this is what you want? Are you absolutely positive? Because you're going to get it trigger after trigger until you do that work and really, truly give yourself some grace to do that work. And find the tools that work for you. Fitness is a good one for me because it releases all the happies, keeps me off my meds, controls the pain from everything else. And then, you know, nutrition, definitely got to do that. But Reiki is the in. It's the deep, deep in work. Like fitness and nutrition in my mind is kind of superficial. Okay. Unless you're willing to actually dig down to the root of what your problem is. And here I'm going to hit you with a whammy. It may not even be yours. Okay. Generational trauma is real. It is so freaking real. Because as I'm deconstructing all of this, I'm learning about my pioneer heritage and where they came from. And good Lord, it scares me. It scares me. So I take them like little teeny tiny bits and steps at a time. And what's interesting is what opened the door for that was my dad gave me all these church books. Here, Aim, read this story. It's about our family. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, Dad, you don't even know. But like, here I am. And what I know. But how do I mean, I guess if they ever see this, I'm sorry. And I love you. And I hope that you accept the truth for what the truth is. But again, I don't get to decide. I just get to listen. I don't get to decide for anyone. So, forgot where we were going again.
There is, I'll just take a pause.
Okay.
There's so much meat in everything that you're sharing. Like, I don't even know what area to focus on regarding, like my thoughts and my opinions, because I could go down different rabbit holes and I could be like Alice in Wonderland exploring each subject here.
And that's the problem. It's not even the problem. Like, that's the excitement and the joy of this journey. Like, let me shine that light for joy, because people get tied up in how horrible it is. Horrible. I was molested when I was 5 years old, man. You got to deal with that. That affected the way that I view every single situation with a man up until not even long ago. Okay. My husband and I get to celebrate 15 years of marriage on Tuesday. And it wasn't really until like 5 years ago that I was like, shit, man, I think this guy actually does love me. I think that I can stop trying to sabotage this marriage because I, think he's going to push me away. So I'm just going to push him. Like that was my MO. Break it up before they break it up. Course in Miracles taught me how to see that differently. Reiki taught me how to see that real love. Do we still struggle? Yeah, it's normal. We're humans. We have a lot of weird, and then there's that growth. We don't all grow and heal at the same time. It absolutely will cause friction in your relationship. Absolutely.
Yeah. One
And
thing I noticed about doing this medical intuitive training that I'm doing, we go deep into exploring the possible belief systems that were instilled in you and the things that were instilled in you by parents, religious leaders, teachers,
mm-hmm,
and then
mm-hmm,
karmic decisions that you made, things that you told about yourself and about the world. And that is so at the subtle layer, so deep in the surface, and people don't even think about it. And then I explain a scenario and they start, oh, okay, I get it now, because it's so deep. It can be really deep in that elbow pain.
yep,
Appreciate, and I respect your vulnerability and shares about that, because I have seen soldiers being open about sexual trauma when they were younger and being very uncomfortable in some of that mandatory training because it brought
yeah,
up resolved issues that they were dealing with.
yeah. Well, I was really good about stuffing it all down, shove it all down. At the time when I was enlisted, I wasn't on this path. I wasn't even thinking that all the things were connected. I was just all yes sir, no sir, yes sergeant, whatever. Do as you're told. Good little soldier that was good at weapons and good at learning and good at teaching and good at doing. Okay, was perfect little soldier till I wasn't. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but in my mind, like I'm very grateful. I'm very, very grateful for my military service. But I do want to rotate back to what you just said about the choices and the should have just went into that because I forget the words that you said. But what I wanted to add to that was everything is so upside down right now, and everyone is kind of being challenged with those choices to grow or stay the same. Those ties into that friction that you get in your relationship. Because there'll be those people that are angry with you, like, you've changed so much. That's not what you said. That's not what you meant. That's not what you did. Like, and they try to pull you. Okay. But us, when those that are on the journey, really doing the work truly within themselves, have come to that knowing that everyone is where they are until they choose to move.
Yeah.
And you can't force them.
You
You
have
can help them
you have
and
free
shine.
and you have self will.
Yes.
I love the training that I did, because what is the percentage of you wanting to heal? What permission level do you give yourself? And everything is about free will. So whenever I give my readings, like, hey, these are possibilities. This is the potentiality. If you explore this, and I never tell people in the readings, this is the way you need to do X, Y, and Z, and you'll be fine. It's like, hey, these are possibilities, and allowing people, giving them that ownership, that sovereignty, that free will.
Mm-hmm.
They have a choice in what they do. And I've done these interviews with veterans now for a couple of years now, and on regardless, talking about Reiki, fitness coaching, talking to physician assistant, or I just talked to a herbalist this morning. It's gonna be a great conversation. But a lot of it's a common theme of going, your upbringing, your social societal conditioning, your religious upbringing, with your parents taught you, and then you go into this very controlled, fixed structure, like you said, yes, drill sergeant, no drill sergeant. I'm going to wear this. I'm going to get paid to eat. I'm going to get my vaccines. I'm going to get my shots. I'm going to get weighed in. I'm going to pee in a cup. Very controlled environment with a lot of personal experiences that have been shut down. And then you get out of the military and you don't have that that structured accountability. And I was telling somebody earlier today, when you get out of the military, they say, you know, welcome home, thank you for your service. But I think we need to go a little bit deeper with the welcoming home of veterans and welcoming yourself back home to yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you got all of this, and identifying who are you, not only at this body, but at the consciousness having this experience in this body. And what is
Absolutely.
when you go, like you said, going quiet, going into nature and really listen, because I do believe, you know, I do Reiki, I do medical intuitive reading, but I truly believe you are your greatest guru, you are your greatest healer. And if you can sit in the silence, because our minds will not shut up sometimes, even with me. So I'm in that place. Osho talks about going to the place of no mind,
Mm-hmm.
blissful state, and that rides between here and then the quantum field. So if I can fall back behind my chatter, then I can listen and maybe not find out how I'm going to do it, but maybe create this space for the information to come in and those opportunities, those, like you said, with relocating and people coming into your life. But we can't get that chatter just to dial down.
Mm-hmm.
I get to a place of our consciousness. And I love what you said about the being the unhealed healer. I think we said unhealed healer.
Mm-hmm.
I never called myself a healer. I called myself maybe like a light worker or a practitioner, because every day is a work in progress for me. Metabolizing, getting out of the military, getting out of a 19-year marriage, and like you said, people constantly come up and say, you think you're healed? Well, let me introduce another character. Like you said, enter stage left and presents actor or actress Sandra or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Lets you know, and then you're like, darn it, I have to work on this. So I think as a healer, you know, if you're in that role, to have that humility of work that still needs to be processed, and you know, the veterans and what they're going through, just getting to the quietness, getting into the stillness. I
Mm-hmm.
interesting of you floating back and forth into this rich, grounding energy, and then into Nevada. And I'm, listening to you talk about that awareness of the energy. I think Nevada's got its own energy. Uh,
Yeah, it's very loud here. It's very loud. I hear the hum of the city all the time. I have the airplanes going overhead, and it's hot. It smells funny. I love it when it rains because it clears all of that out. But like, it's the nature part, and learning how to learn how to connect to the desert, because the desert is part of my people. It's generational, man. This is literally where I grew up. Okay. So being disconnected from that is also like being disconnected from a piece of myself. So I want to flip back to how you are your best guru. Absolutely. Eckhart Tolle says it. Gee, you are you. Like, that's his little, what is it, anagram for it. And then I wanted to roll back again because I remembered what it was that I wanted to say about all of these outside influences. Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches in Unbecoming Yourself. I'm pretty certain that's what the book is called. It's in the other room, but I can send that to you later. He says that your personality is being developed up until you're 35 years old by all of the outside influences around you, people, religion, your job, your friends, like all of it, all of it. That's where those belief systems come in. That's where your limiting beliefs come in. That's where all of it, how we view the world, is all taught and absorbed by us to mold who we are until we're 35 years old. And then it's like you're like, whoa, that's not right. That doesn't feel right. And that really doesn't feel right. And you have to dig down to why it is that doesn't feel right and learn and remember all of those things. And if you're like me as a veteran, you probably have some TBI in there. God love you. How'd you grow up? I hit my girlfriend with a whammy, which I don't have TBI. I'm all, girl, you fell off a mountain and cracked your head. Yes. Traumatic brain injury comes in a lot of forms, and PTSD does too. So even if you haven't had a military grade experience for those things, you're highly likely to have something. And what was the book we were talking about? Our body and how all this energy is stored inside of us. Open up. The body keeps the score. And if you're really like me, you're about to get hit with a whammy within the first couple chapters. He's talking about the percentage of children that experience sexual abuse or any type of abuse when they're younger, and then the percentage of veterans that get PTSD. And you're like, well, shit. What happens when you
for this
say that?
do you remember the percentages, like for those veterans that had like sexual trauma?
No, but that book is in the other bedroom too. See, like all of these books, I've given them to Mia. I'll read these books. I don't. I wish I was one of those people that logged those numbers away, but it was a very scary percentage. It was very high, and it was very sad. And it really sent me down a rabbit hole of what happens when you land in both categories. What does that mean for you and the way that you have developed as a person? Because again, it molds the way that you interact and react with every single person in your life. And it dictates the choices that you make, because you probably end up being some form of people pleaser and you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Like, here, let me introduce you to my water jug that I didn't even want to buy, but I bought it because I didn't want to be the asshole that was standing in line and not buying anything. I was with my son. Why couldn't I just been and moved up to the thing? No. I bought a water jug. People pleaser. Like, these little teeny tiny things pop up, and that's where that thing comes again. Just listen, because you are your best guide, and you are the one that will do the healing, and only you can hear the message and feel what it is and what that means. No one else can tell you that. Sure, they can shine that light. Are you going to follow it? Are you going to do the work? Are you going to, you're going to fall off a cliff and you're going to be like, I promise it's part of it.
One of the guys I'm good friends with, he always tells me life is your greatest. I asked him what goober he follows, and he's like life. He's like, life is my greatest teacher. And it's true. I mean, there's a lot of great spiritual teachers out there, a lot that I love and I follow, and the practices. But my life and my experiences, what brought me here to Destin in a job that I don't like. But I've gotten the most healing here. The fact that I can just go to the beach and just plunge into the water, and go have some fish tacos and a beer on the beach and all that. I might not like my job, but I like, I truly believe I was meant to be here in the Destin area. This area is known for the emerald waters, the emerald coast. I brought all those colors and they're into my bedroom. I got green sofa, I got teal curtains, I got greens and everywhere because of the energy of this being here. And even with the marriage and the dissolvement of 19 years of being married, like you brought up some good points, and I'll just bring it into my own experiences of that forgiveness issue. Because I had a guy tell me, when you don't forgive, it's like having your hands clenched so tight, and it's physically exhausting, it's emotionally and mentally exhausting, and learning to just loosen that grip, you're not giving them a way out. I look at it as releasing that attachment and allowing the universe to transmute it like compost.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned that, and I tell people, and my ex-husband had his own shenanigans, but I do say, I don't take the experience, I don't regret it. He was my greatest teacher, and it propelled me to where I am now, and letting go of that. And now I'm more on my own forgiveness journey, not really forgiving him now, but kind of forgiving myself, because I've been really hard on myself on my how I have because I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have got married. Oh, I could have had kids if I was with somebody else, or and now I'm just like learning about giving myself grace. I had the experience. I would learn a lot of lessons, and it brought me here. And that forgiveness thing, that is, you want to talk about like number one simple thing, or not simple, but real applicability that somebody could take off this call right now is working on the forgiveness and the bitterness and the resentments, because it's such a heavy emotion that gets lodged in our stomach, in our gallbladder, in our intestines. And we want to talk about like veterans that have like intestinal issues. Well, how much anger and resentment is maybe stored into those organs? I don't
Exactly.
know.
I think kept on trying. Exactly. Uh, and that's what you're working on to get out of you, to release it. Like you said, to like, we were talking about forgiveness earlier, and I love that you rolled back to it and to letting go, because letting go and releasing, like they're similar, but they're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. And it's super important to be able to recognize that, like, where do I want to go with this? Like grieving that loss of what was, what could have been, what would have been. Okay. That's an important piece of the healing too. Like you said, I could have had kids. I could have done all of these things if I had been with someone else. And that's a part of you that, you know, in another existence, running parallel to us, is something that actually took place and is beautiful, and you love every moment of it. But this is where you landed, and this is what you get to do. And the lesson inside of it, I love that you are recognizing that. And you're releasing that pain that unforgiveness causes, that holding on to the hurt and the anger. You're releasing that. And the let go, it's that letting go of the what could have been, what would have been, what if I had done this, all of those things, thoughts that you think that really don't take you anywhere.
Yeah, because and you could apply that. I applied it for my marriage and all that, but anybody can apply that. The veterans getting so stuck with a would have, could have, should have kind of mentality, and getting into this present. You're right here, right now. You're the consciousness having this experience, because you will get in that monkey chatter thinking about what could have, would have been, or should have. I should have done this. It's a hamster wheel that does not stop and does not go anywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when you're a veteran and you're home, or you've been home for a long time and you're feeling uber lost, like what are you supposed to do? Because Reiki isn't in the VA system at the moment. They're working on it. They're trying it. Some places, meditation and all of these avenues that are not, regular mainstream medicine, they're not there yet. So you really have to dig, and I keep on coming back to that, just listen. But that really is the way. Somebody is saying it. If you're here right now, then you've been hearing sister over here just preaching the word of how for you to heal. And sometimes we're close to it until we're not. And again, you only get to say who. You're the one that says how and when that actually happens. But being here is part of it for sure. But that listening, I wanted to go back to this trainer for this dog that presented itself to me, because the answers are always there. They're always there. And even if, like, we can't see it, we can't see the answer, and we can't see it clearly because we are closed off to the love that answer is about to be bringing into our lives. Okay. I don't want a dog, man. I was not even in the avenue of having that, but here he is. And here we need to be trained. And then here the universe presents me with this veteran owned business literally up the street from me, like in my bubble. Okay. Because the city is a trigger. And I have to go and I have to pay them money. Like in my head, I know that have to do these things. But when I actually got there, I had a full on panic attack, crying, can't breathe, can't talk. I had to walk out of the building, walk around to the parking lot to calm down. It was their grand opening. Why did I choose the grand opening? Okay. We test ourselves. You know, it's also getting into the thing and doing the thing and seeing how you react to it, and how that energy moves in your body. And for me, it chokes me up. I can't talk because I'm also, it's like I'm relearning how to people. Okay. Because my personality was developed up until I'm 35 years old. And in that time, I was in the military. Do as you're told, follow the rules, all of those things. And I'm having to unlearn that I don't have to be told what to do. I get a choice. Okay. And I can choose to put myself into this position that triggers the PTSD and the anxiety, or I can choose to stay in my home and not grow it up. But you get a choice. Okay. I chose to go. I chose to have the panic attack. I choose to have to deal with all of that pre-anxiety of the event, and work through that. And every single time I do, that light, that Reiki shined, that A Course in Miracles shined, that all of those people that have healed with me shine, gets a little bit brighter, and I'm able to see that love and compassion and acceptance and kindness, even for that guy. Okay. Because it's a weird space to be in, where you're ignoring this piece of you as a veteran that is a trained soldier, and this piece of you that's following this loving and compassionate path. How do you coexist as one person inside of you? Okay. Some call it your shadow self, you know, and the shadow is also all of those upside down thoughts and hurtful things about us that we have to accept and work through and love and find compassion for. But then there's also this piece of our personality, because you can't, how do you untrain it? How do you untrain this natural primalness within you? Okay. Because let's remember, we're humans too. Where do our ancestors come from? Okay. All of us have warriors in our genetics. Okay. So how do you get that to commingle and coincide together? Well, you have to accept that that's a real thing. And my trainer, God love him, he used a great analogy in regards to my pup, because he's a pit bull. And pit bulls are the most courageous breed, he says. And he says that they are like warrior in their courage, and they just go straight into it without any thought about your own personal safety or how that's going to affect you. And as warriors, that's what we do. There's a complete disregard for our own personal safety. We just want to diffuse the situation and make sure that no one else gets hurt. And if that means that we have to hurt someone, then that's a piece of us that we have to accept as a part of us. Just like Sarge, okay? He's not intentional, just wants to diffuse the situation because that's who he is. So me as his human, I have to be trained and train him to be able to recognize the differences in situations, because right now I'm like a puppy and everything has me on reactive alert. So he says, when soldiers come home from war and they have to mingle back into the community, and when they get out of the military and you have to be a civilian, this piece of you is missing. This piece of team and community and purpose and all of those things, and we get lost. We get lost in our fears and the coulda, shoulda, wouldas. And I think what I'm mostly just trying to say is that the answer is always damn near slapping you in the face. Damn near. You just really have to I want it to slap you in the face. I mean, that's the only way that I can say that. And I know it sounds crazy because no one wants to be slapped in the face, but no one wants to be sad and angry either. No one wants to be shut into their home and disconnected from themselves, and everyone that's out there that's just trying to love you and help you and understand. And there's a lot of veterans that do that. And I myself was very shut off to working with veterans or communicating with them. I mean, I know I've canceled on you a couple times, and here we are, because everything had to come into alignment as it needed to in order for it to be exactly as it is right now.
Yeah, you just popped up in my head the one day, and having these conversations. Everybody I interview is on their own healing journey. So, and maybe it wasn't perfect timing for me either, to do any interviews. And I feel like I'm gaining momentum. I don't know what this journey of interviewing veterans is about. I don't know where it's taking me. And I keep, I forget who talks about it. It might be Osho, but somebody keeps talking about the pathless road. And we're kind of always, we think we need to have all these goals and agendas and where we're going, have our 5-year plan. It's very masculine energy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I keep hearing the pathless road, being on a journey and not knowing where it goes, not knowing what exits or what you're going to see, and a little bit in faith as you go. So when I do these interviews, it is a pathless journey because I don't know where it's going to go, but I know it makes my heart happy, because the integration is so important of modern medicine, which has a great place, and then also this integrative approach with these technologies that people have never heard of, like Reiki. And when you were talking about, being home and being isolated, which I can only imagine we probably have a lot of veterans that are in that situation. I don't know. I'm making that assumption there. But I just wanted to highlight that because I read Osho writes a book about love, freedom, and aloneness. And he talks about you can be alone and not be lonely. And it's very easy though, if you're not used to sitting in your own company, it's easy to feel lonely and disconnected and isolated. And that's one thing that I had to learn on. I don't claim to have PTSD. I have my own journey of divorce and that kind of trauma. But I had to learn to be, okay, I'm not lonely, but I am alone. I am in solitude, because when you're in alone, you have nobody else to buffer. You're hearing everything. You're hearing everything in your head, your experiences, your annoyances. You have the TV, you got some distractions, but you're there and learning. I think it's really important to find a way of finding comfort in loving your own company. Because in the military,
Absolutely.
you just put your hat on and you can kind of quiet who you are and be the officer of the NCO. But when you get out of the military, now you may be possibly in an isolated environment. You got no roles, you got nobody telling you where you got to be for the most part. And now you're sitting here in all these thoughts that were suppressed and quieted down and controlled. So I just wanted to share that.
It is a lot. And beautiful. And on your own doesn't necessarily mean alone. Because you get all of these amazing people that you're bringing together and shining that light and showing all of those that tune in to watch this that they're not alone. And maybe they don't have a similarity with me, but they may with someone else that you have interviewed, because all of our journeys are different. Maybe trying to work to that same final destination, which is that peace within yourself and being at peace with everything that's going on around you, and knowing that it's all going to be okay. It's all going to work out. I don't have to understand exactly what's happening to know that it will be okay. I don't have to have all the answers right now, or really even any of the answers. And that's a hard thing when your mind's going 900,000 miles an hour predicting what's going to happen. Because as a soldier, you're always forward thinking, planning for worst case scenario. If this doesn't work, we got to go do this. We need 10 plans plus 10 more backups.
And your nice glide path. The road The road to success, the road to war.
Mhm. Exactly. And that's a hard thing to step back to and be on this uh pathless journey that you talk about. Um, I'd have to say that I feel like this kind of feels like that. I don't really have any plan of what is going to happen or where I'm going to go or who's going to present themselves. Um, I just know that those that are supposed to, they will show up, and what form they show up in, I don't know. I don't get to say. I mean, it came in a dog, and it led me to some veterans that have been dropping some knowledge bombs on me that helped me understand a little bit better about what I'm going through. Because yeah, medicine and intuitive work like Reiki and what you're going through, like they do go hand in hand. But it doesn't all jive with everyone. Like the traditional medicine is, it's not for me. I struggle with therapists. I struggle going to the doctor. Like I just want to see that lady one time a year because I don't want the meds. I don't want that. And unfortunately, I am of the belief that that affects my care and that saddens my heart. But it is what it is, and I can't change that. I just have to have faith that all these things are happening for a reason, and that eventually the VA will come around and veterans will get the care that they deserve 100% without basically not without basically without having to beg for it at all. You shouldn't have to explain yourself of why you need what you need. It's like literally right there, you know.
And I'm just listening to you talk, and I wonder, and I don't want to say anything bad about the VA, but I wonder if like each location is different. I work on an Air Force post right here in Florida, and in the same parking lot, literally, is the medical hospital, and then the same parking lot is the VA. And now, granted, you
Mm-hmm.
have to gate, and so I do TRICARE, and I go back and forth. I piggyback off of both of them, through the VA, and then my retirement, the retirement insurance and all that. And it's right down the street. So I have that accessibility. They're right there. They're right back to back. And they do all full work. And I don't have the same things going on like you do. But I think maybe your location, or what if you're like in an urban environment,
Mm-hmm.
travel, and then I do know I interned, as you know, I think at the VA hospital in Indianapolis, and the guy there, the whole health team did tell me, Reiki is an option. It's not mandatory in the whole health team, like yoga and Tai Chi and nutrition and all that. They can offer it. And I even offered, like, I would like to practice. And they were open minded and they were receptive and they thought it was a really cool idea. But what I noticed is nobody wanted to take on that torch, take on that,
Mm-hmm.
have that guide on to help implement the change, because I would have loved to have done that, even just going down there with the women that are like, or like with women, reproductive issues and cancer and all that. Just like I'm not even touching, just seeing the what.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see anybody really having the passion to really want to implement it as a mandatory practice, which was kind of a little disheartening. But
It'll
maybe,
come.
you know,
Yep. It'll come. It's on its way. It absolutely is on its way. Um, and you are 100% right. Every single place is different. The VA in Maine is phenomenal. Shit goes fast. Bam, bam, and you're done. I had to do a reevaluation when I first moved up there, and all of my numbers and everything, like the first go when I got out of the military, like I just whatever it was, and I just signed it. I was so out of it. Read it, sure, but could I comprehend it? Absolutely not. Let's remember, I had a doctor that was like, "Oh, your TBI doesn't really affect your cognitive ability, so you're fine. We'll just 10% on that." And 10 years later, here I am 100% because I do struggle. It takes me a minute to understand things, and that's just part of the process. But a lot different in Maine and in here, absolutely. But then let's tie it all together with what we've already been talking about in your personality being developed until you're 35 years old. And these doctors coming into the VA right now are young. They're young, and doctors only know what they've read in books, and they know what they have experienced with their patients. Just like everyone that does intuitive work, we know what we've learned in books and what we experience from our clients and our own personal experiences. Like, that's all we know. So when someone comes to you with something different, or the agenda is different, okay, I personally, this is just my own personal feeling, and something that I also am working, because, kindness and love everyone, but I don't think that they have our best interests at heart. I think they're bringing in Reiki, but at the end of the day, it's not the agenda, but I don't want to, that's a whole other rabbit hole. And I also think that it is some of those pieces that I'm learning to come to terms with. I have a lot of pain and hurt from the deployment, and just in general, the way that soldiers are treated. I don't think that it's right. And maybe that's me coming from an enlisted standpoint, because it wasn't an NCO, I wasn't an officer. Sure, that was probably on the path if I had stayed in, but that's not where I was. So my perspective is a lot different, because I wasn't involved in all the nitty gritties, but I know what I experienced, and to me it was wrong, and it just didn't need to be that way. Coming home and while deployed, it was just all wrong.
So this is why I really like to do these calls and interview veterans in the holistic stuff, because especially on Instagram, I do see some of the energy attached to some of the reels about the VA hospital, and their time with the VA, and I can pick up on the undertones and the energy associated with that. And I might not be able to maybe right now have an influence on that, but maybe we can share free things to help integrate it. And maybe that veteran maybe can bring it up. Hey, I've heard about Reiki. Is that an option? Or what can you, and maybe that will help make some changes. But I think, I believe, us veterans can come together, share knowledge, and help raise that vibration, because we don't really have an agenda. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
like agenda, like for profit, for like pharmaceutical medications. And I think we all generally at the end of the day care about the healing journey of our veterans in a non-invasive, gentle way, because I like interviewing veterans, because it's easier for you, talking about Reiki and your healing journey, because you're like, hey, I've done motorcycles, I've PMCS a Humvee, I've been on a convoy. I get it. And now let me share some other tools that maybe you don't know about, that you can also probably integrate into your if you're still active duty. Like, I gave Reiki in the field. I
Mm-hmm.
brought essential oils into the field, and I took some. Now, granted, I was sick before, I was IT, but I put my earplugs in, and I meditated in a cot of a tent of like 20 some females, and I took that practice, and maybe somebody listening could take that and fold that into convoy, or I don't know, maybe a couple minutes even in the porta potty. That's the only place that you can get for silence.
Yep, absolutely.
Some you
I,
time
I,
that.
yeah, I wish that I had known about these things back then. Not really. I don't wish that I had known. If I had known, it would have altered the course of where I am, and I believe that I'm supposed to be right here, right now. I'm grateful that it came about when it did, and I really do hope that it eventually fully integrates into the VA and becomes an option, because you shouldn't have to shove meds down your throat. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to be on 100 milligrams of painkillers and sleep pills. Like, your body is such an amazing, amazing creation that is capable of doing so many amazing things, including healing. I believe that. You have to give it the right tools. You have to give it the space and the grace to do the healing, and you have to take into consideration that it's everything. How old are you? Okay, that matters. That matters a lot. I turned 44 this year. It's 44 years of undo upside down stuff that still pops up every now and then. Plus everything that my mom dealt with and everything that my dad. Another great, amazing book is It Didn't Start With You. That's one for generational trauma. Talks about how you were in your mother when her mother was pregnant. All of that trauma passed on to those aches and turned into babies. Come on, man. You got to think about those things and give yourself a lot of grace. And it is a lot of that sit in silence. And you're absolutely right about your brain. It is going nonstop all day, every day, processing everything, seeing everything, absorbing everything. And then probably rattling off all of the horrible things that you have done in your life and where you failed and all those things. And if we let that be the narrative of our life, all the pain, all the mistakes, all the failures, like that's just going to perpetuate the sadness and the depression, and it's going to lower our body's vibration. Reiki teaches that, science teaches and Reiki reinforces that our bodies are constantly regenerating. Okay. New cells being divided all day, every day as we are alive. Okay. And if those cells are infused with pain from trauma and depression and sadness and, oh, I made that really bad mistake and, oh, I did this and it hurt this person and la, 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 all the way down the line to the root of our guts, everything is going to be wonky. And of course, we're going to be tired and in pain and sad and headaches and everything because our body is regenerating with dysfunction. So if you want to get better, you got to do that deep down. What did you call it in the beginning? The
Quantum
deep
field?
in, yeah, deep into that, all of it.
Oh, the energy is the quantum field. And for those that don't know the quantum field, I am not a physicist or Mishu Kaku kind of guy. I love that guy. He's a theoretical physicist, but he talks about the energy inside of the atom at the very end, this vibrating energy. And in the spiritual world takes it on a totally different they go a very beautiful journey about the quantum field, but we're going very deep below biology at the energetic. And I was talking earlier about the trauma that's stored there at the energetic level. And I love that you brought up the generational trauma, because even the birth alone is trauma in of itself.
Yeah.
Getting pushed out, going from the darkness in sound to now light and all this stuff going in. So you brought up so many good points. We've been talking for like 90 minutes, but it's been a great juicy conversation, and it went by.
It's only 30 minutes.
I don't feel like it was long. But you brought up so many good points, and I really hope that, a veteran that's listening to this can really bring something to themselves. And you brought up real world applicable stuff: the forgiveness, the silence, that, like you said, the listening. Talk about giving ourselves grace, learning to, and there's nothing wrong, like you said, there's nothing wrong with being the warrior. Our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, and there's nothing wrong with having the warrior mindset. But it's knowing how to have the flexibility and the agility that it's okay to be the embodiment. Like I always just say, yeah, I'm the Zen warrior. Knowing, draw your sword or draw your weapon when needed to protect yourself, but then coming back to this more fluid place and owning that feminine energy as well.
Absolutely.
And do have
absolutely it. I just want to add one more thing, and that is really, it's more than grace. Don't be kicking yourself for anything, especially when you're like, I am not progressing and I am not moving forward. Stop kicking yourself, because you are. Recognizing that it's not working is a leap in the best direction you will ever go, and that is for healing. 100%. Because even when we're standing still,
And
People are growing around us.
I need to hear all this stuff too. You know, just because I do these calls does not mean I have it all figured out. Every call that I do, I learn something because something
Mhm.
is mirrored back to me. Like, oh yeah, I need to take that for myself too. I need to write that down.
Right? Teaching and learning. That's A Course in Miracles. Every single person. Everything has purpose.
So you said
And
you're not taking clients right now, right?
I don't. I mean, like I'll listen to you. You want to talk, I'll absolutely listen to you. But when it comes to like exchanging Reiki services, I guess I probably take it on a person by person basis.
Okay.
If they're local to me, like I'd want to meet up and let's go for a walk and let's go hang out. And I guess I've moved out of the I'm not going to put you on a table. I love that. And I have my Reiki table and I break out all the crystals and everything, but like this space is not designed for that. So it would be more of a let's go out and have some communication and really get into the nature because that helps us both. And it's hard to find here, but we can find it. So for if someone, because we're not in the same place, I would absolutely direct you to a Reiki practitioner or Reiki master in your area. I really feel like I love distance Reiki. Don't get me wrong. It is super, super beneficial if you are like urgently in need and things like that. But getting in with someone face to face is, in my opinion, an extremely different experience because you can't lie. Okay. You can't lie. People are smart and Reiki people and people that do intuitive healing, like they're smart and they know. But when you're face to face with them, like it's all of the masks are off and you are truly in your most vulnerable state and that's what's needed in order to heal. You have to rip it down to the raw. Have to. Because all of the sewing that you've been doing and people have been doing for you on those wounds are creating, I mean, for me, it created a monster. I absolutely believe that. Upside down healing created an angry monster that snapped at everyone for everything. For everything. My husband used to, I can't take you anywhere. And that was real. You know, now I'm very careful and I'm very mindful because I'm very aware of not a temper. It's not that temper, but I'm very aware of myself and very aware of everyone else. And do I have it in myself to give that compassion and that grace today? So I get a new tool that will help me get out of the house because Reiki only takes me so far. Fitness only takes you so far. And the internet is just another place to stay safe. Does that make sense? So get get you someone that can be in your face and see the real and see the real and raw because it is an experience that will benefit you for the rest of your life.
I love it. And you keep talking like, oh my God, I can talk about this. I can mention that. But I think I'm going to wrap it up because I could sit here and just talk all day about this stuff.
I
Um,
love you.
it's just amazing. Um, I'm so grateful for everybody that's listening. Any final words before we bid adieu?
uh just to jump back to what I said from A Course in Miracles earlier, there is no room for fear when love fills our hearts. So everything you do and everyone you see, work to see that with love and do that with love, speak with love, just love with love, unconditional, no strings. And if you never find a local Reiki master, just do your things with love and that will lead you down the path towards that happiness that you seek. 100%.
Love it. Thank
Walk
you.
in love. You're
Yes.
welcome.
Yes. uh, thank you so much for showing up. And I'm sure part of this is therapeutic for yourself and sharing your
Absolutely.
and your vulnerability. You had a lot of vulnerable shares. So I really appreciate you and and being so authentic and being so real. I had no
Well,
idea.
thank you.
Like I told you, my questions, my cards, there's no questions on here.
No, you get what you get, and I love it. I appreciate that. I really do like that authentic from a place of I needed the questions and answers the first time.
Yeah.
I needed that the first time. So I'm grateful that we're here a second time, and very grateful for all that show up. And I really hope you find some inspiration or some little nugget that helps you just move forward a little bit more from where you're at right now, which is also a really great place. So don't forget that.
Perfect. Well, don't get off the phone, off the call yet.
Okay.
Morning. Bye, everyone. Stay healthy and take care. Bye.
Bye.